they don't have capacity, because they can go home and take it off and be like, oh, well, none of this affects me, right? None of this is really real. And that's the shift that needs to happen, because how often are movements led by those who are most at risk for the violence, right? Time and time again. And there's a brilliance there, because those are the folks who are closest to the issue, you know? So what Shelley always says, right? It's like those closest to the pain have the solution. So we know that, but there's also a degree of absolutely valid frustration. And to me, no, what you're experiencing is not selfish. I think what would actually be more considerate for some of these folks is like, don't post about how you're tired. Are you kidding me? You think anybody wants to see how you're tired after a week of what? Of caring? Right. What that means, you know?
For a week.
For a week. That being said, like, movement work is tiring. So you do need to find out how you can actively shift your life, your whole life, to be oriented towards the awakening, the revolution, justice, in all of the ways that it shows up. Because, you know, if you're tired after a week, that tells you a lot. That tells you a lot about what kind of conversations you were having before this. And it also tells you about your own capacity. So if I were in their shoes, I would not be posting any of that stuff. I'd be sitting with myself going, oh, okay, I need to figure some stuff out behind closed doors, and not make this the labor of any Black or brown women in my life, or Black or brown men in my life, to do this for me. So I think there's something there for sure. So I would never tell you that you're selfish for that. I think that's a very, very valid thing to feel. What I would also tell you, though, is I wouldn't want that to add to your stress, because I care about your health. So to me, what I would say is, like, even though I don't think that's selfish at all, because I feel the same way, I would say, okay, but how can this sit easier for Niamey? Because I don't want Niamey to have more weight to be carrying. I don't want more things that are outside of her to make her feel like she's stifled or, you know, on the ground. Yeah. You know, because you're trying to heal yourself. You're trying to heal your childhood self. And those folks don't deserve your labor, your emotional labor in this moment, or your, you know, right. Anxiety or anything that I don't want them to have that power. It's kind of how I feel for you. So that would be, like, as a friend, that would be my question for you. You know, like, how can it sit easier for you? How can you release that, knowing that those folks are gonna, they're gonna do this. They're gonna go up and down and up and down, and they're gonna go through their own movement and kind of arrive in their own ways and keep arriving in their own ways. But the people who are really there for you and are really about it will be there, you know.
I love that. So I have one last question. Well, we'll see if this is the last question, but because I want to get into a healing practice in some sort. But how do we, because Raji, I feel like you are just truly compassionate and just truly loving, and you have so much to give from. And so how do we arrive? And I mean, it could be you just doing a lot of work, right? It could be just a lot of time and work. But how do we arrive in a space of where you have full compassion for people, you have full grace and respect for yourself? Like, how do we arrive there?
Oof, I honor that question. Thank you for that. It's obviously a process, you know. I mean, that's a great question, you know. And I mean, it's different for everybody, you know. It's different for everybody, and I think that it does start with that self part that you said. Like, it's really hard to have compassion for other people if you're not kind to yourself on a really fundamental level, you know? And it's very easy to talk about self-love. It's very easy to say things like that. Just like it's very easy to say self-care. And I always try to ask, well, what does that look like? What does it mean? You know? And it's really about something that I think you started off with, which was really beautiful, which is changing the way that we talk to ourselves, about ourselves, you know? Because that's the stuff that people can't see. The thoughts that you're having. So I do really think about, like, you know, how do you think about and talk to yourself when you're alone in a room and something frustrating happened, or you did something frustrating, or you fell short in some kind of way that you were holding yourself to something, you know? These things take time. And I feel like it wasn't until I was 18, 19, well, you know, maybe, 17, 18, like out the house, like I had some space to myself. That's when I started to really, like, look back, you know, and think about aspects of my life, think about messages that I have received from the world or from people in my life, and I started to ask the question, like, do I believe that? Like, who put that message in my head? And those questions, when you sit with them long enough, I think we start to really get a sense of, okay, that person put that message in my head, or that system, or that idea, or that movie, that teacher, who knows, right? And then we say, okay, but do I need to believe that? Maybe I don't. So if I let go of that, what's something new that I can tell myself? And I think that for me, that process of forgiveness, of understanding, of looking at people and remembering the fullness that everybody carries with them and the journey, right? Like how you can never really know about someone until you walk into a room. When you walk into a room with them, rather, like they carry their whole past with them, they carry everything with them. That's what helps me. But you know, I'm a human being. Like you said, like the people that we were talking about just now, they make me mad, right? And I'm not, look, I like yoga, but I'm not peaceful all the time, you know, and we all have those moments, and it's important to validate that. It's important to validate, like maybe you're at your desk, who knows? But if you can, go ahead and close your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable, you can keep them open and just kind of look at something that makes you feel grounded. And we're just going to do an inhale, hold, and exhale exercise. And we're going to time it. So I'll count to begin, but after a while, I'll stop. We're going to inhale for 4 counts. You're going to hold your breath for 4 counts. You're going to exhale for 4 counts. And then you're going to wait for 4 counts before you breathe in again. Okay, so this is called square breathing. So I'll count us through it, but just go ahead and get ready. Like I said, everyone get your seat, and I may set you all up. Okay, and we're going to inhale together, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, wait, 2, 3, 4, again, inhale, 2, 3, 4, wait, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, wait, 2, 3, 4. One more time. I won't do the counting this time, just give a little space. Before we all come out of that, just take a minute after your last exhale. And I always like to take just like a little body scan. This is really simple. Again, you can do these throughout the day when you feel stressed, when you feel anxious, or when you feel good. It's just a chance to kind of say, okay, where do I feel tension? Do I feel any tension? Do I feel heat? Do I feel itchy? Do I feel tingle sensations? Do I feel like I need to stretch anywhere? Can I relax muscles in my face? Sometimes we hold all this tension in our face. It's like, for why? We don't even know. I just try to think to myself, can I release any of that? Can I notice any of the sounds around me, whatever room that I'm in? Maybe there's sounds from outside, maybe there's a fan or some air conditioning. Maybe a roommate. Just be present and aware of whatever surroundings are in your space. And in this stillness, just figure out, think about some expression of affirmation or gratitude that you can have for yourself today. Maybe just gratitude for the fact that you are literally here, you are breathing right now. Like, it's a beautiful thing. And that's something to honor, you know, no matter what. Maybe you did something today that made you feel really proud. And maybe you didn't, and that's okay too. What can you let really rise to the surface right now that serves your spirit in this stillness? Hmm. And with that, y'all can open your eyes if your eyes
How
are closed.
can you meditate?
Say that again, Niamey.
Like, I had to keep bringing my mind back to the moment. Like, how long can you meditate for and be like in the zone?
Depends on the day, you know? And that's real, absolutely. And meditation, sitting silently and like in seated meditation, that's one way that it looks. And that's hard to do. You know, I've done ones for, I mean, I've probably done like up to an hour before, but few times in my life. You know, in general, maybe 10, 15 minutes. Like sometimes that's all I'll do in a day, you know? But I think especially for folks that are brand new to it, like a minute, 2 minutes goes a long way, you know?
Yeah.
And something I try to do is it's like if you have if maybe you're okay to sit still, maybe you're even okay to find that breathing, but maybe your mind just doesn't stop. I always try to find like a visualization or like a word, and it's just like any other habit, just a practice, you know, something. It could be a color, it could be the ocean, it could be a balloon, you know, like anything that you can just get a little bit fixated on. It's a good way to practice just bringing that focus, you know. But it's hard, it takes practice getting there. Sometimes I got to get myself to the ocean, right? So I have to say like, okay, everything that's going on that I feel like I have on my plate, on my mind and my agenda, for 2 minutes, it doesn't need me. For 2 minutes, I don't need to worry
Yeah.
about it. For 2 minutes, I can be much bigger or much smaller than all of those things. For those 2 minutes, I can be my most expanded kind of self because that'll all be there. But these 2 minutes, let them be for me, right?
Yeah.
And then once I have that set, let everything else go away, and then, you know, whatever image I need to focus on can happen. But it takes practice and it's not easy. So I always tell people like, you can do this anytime. Like you can be brushing your teeth and you can just be like, well, I'm really going to focus on this teeth brushing right now. I'm going to think about this, you
Uh,
know? Or you're cooking, you know, and be like, well, I'm really thinking about this garlic that I'm cutting right now. I'm like looking at it, smelling it, like imagining what's going to happen when it's done cooking. You know, like there's so many ways to find meditation and mindfulness. I never want anyone to feel like it's not for them, you know, because that's the opposite. That's
yeah.
like, that's what we're trying to get away from.
Yeah. Yeah. Tracy Ellis Ross said that a way that she finds to be present and meditate is when she's eating soup. And just because you have to flow,
Yeah.
you don't have to choose, so it's not like work. You just
Yeah.
flow, and then you just let it.
I
And so I
love that.
tried it. Tell me why I eat soup, and it's like I'm about to meditate today when eating this soup. So I feel
I
it.
love
I
it.
feel it. But if I can give a plug real quick, there is an app called Liberate Meditation,
Beautiful.
which is specifically for uh, Black and brown people to, and it's Black owned. A Black man
Wow.
runs it. They have a free version, and there's also some that you can pay for, but it specifically focuses on trauma, generational trauma. It focuses on, you know, racism and what that looks like and how that affects our body. There's different meditations that are led by therapists and led by scholars and people, doctors, people who have great knowledge and understanding about what is happening within the world and what that means and does to our minds and our bodies.
I
So
love it. Thank you
I've
for
been using it. Let me
100%.
tell you, Genesis said
I will look, Genesis validated it. I love it. I would also recommend an account to follow is Prentice Hemphill. They're an incredible Black healer as well, just like facilitator, body, just the awareness, you know, is so beautiful. And really similar, like these are the folks that I follow, you know, because otherwise, like we can't talk about healing and care, like you said, without understanding trauma and understanding violence and everything that's going on, because otherwise it's not real. You know, it's rooted in some fake.
Right.
That's not what I'm interested in. So thank you for sharing that resource. Prentice Hemphill, I think you'd really love Prentice. Prentice has a lot of videos too that are like, they'll just guide you through a whole experience, 5 minutes, 8 minutes. So if you kind of liked what we just did, that's like a baby version of like, so, sorry, y'all, something came up. So that's another one I'd recommend, but yeah.
Okay. I Googled him,
yeah.
so I'll look at, for those who are interested, the IG is Prentice, Prentis.h. That's his IG. And then one more, specifically for my Black women, there's Therapy for Black Girls. So if you are not familiar with that, I listen to it on Spotify. It's also on Apple's Music, Apple Podcast, whatever something Apple. But it's on there too, and it's Therapy for Black Girls.
Yeah.
It's another space. So thank you so much, Raji. I
Oh,
really
Niamey,
appreciate it.
can I give you one more resource? One more, just so I don't forget.
Yeah.
I want to make sure people get all the ones and you started the combo. Thank you, and then I'm gonna geek out and say bye to you. It is so Erica Woodland is the name of the healer. Amazing queer Black therapist, but there's a network called the National Network of Queer and Trans Therapists, and it's all Black and brown, queer, trans friendly healers of all kinds. So that's another network that also provides you like free or relatively financially accessible kinds of healing practices. So that's another one that I would want to make sure people have.
Awesome.
As well as Hood Herbalism. So for all my folks who are interested in herbalist work and food healing, that's a great Instagram account to follow, and they're in California. They're out of LA. So okay, those are all the plugs. Just like want to make sure everybody has.
I'm looking at the National Queer and Trans Therapist one. I don't see an Instagram, but I'll find it for you guys, and then I'll put it on.
I'll send it to you too. In case you can't find it, I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. But actually, yeah, thank you so much, Raji. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Before you leave, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna head out. Well, I have two more things actually. Now that I think of it, the last thing I want to say is, honestly, after all this pandemic, right? Kobe Bryant died. Let's be real, we were hurt, right? So 2020 was a lot. We had a pandemic. Kobe Bryant died. During a whole revolution, we have crazy stuff. After this, we all should seek therapy. I would encourage everyone to find a therapist. If you need help finding one, let me know. I don't know why I know so much about them, but I do. I got names. I got numbers. Let me know. The second thing. Oh, and you can leave now, Raji, if you need to. I'm sorry. I'm just doing a plug real quick.
Great. Please do your plug.
Okay. The second thing, if you like what you saw today, again, I Am Root Co. LLC. We are a business, and so if you're interested in donating, you can donate to us, and you can send it, oh my goodness, on Cash App to I Am Root LLC. I'm like having a hard time remembering, but it is I Am Root LLC. If you are interested, that's what I'll do. They said that's what we'll do. I'll create a list of everything we put with their @names. Beautiful. And then we will we'll post it because they want to know the names we just said.
Yes,
so we'll
definitely.
Get
those are so important. I don't want anyone to doubt it. So I'll send you everything so you got it all to post.
Okay. Get a therapist, donate if you can. As you know, I Am Root is Black owned, but also continue to keep the dollar within our community. Let's really try to strengthen one another. Let's love on one another. Love on yourself fully so that love on others. So thank you again, Raji. I really appreciate it. And thank you all y'all for kicking with us the whole 46 minutes. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all for listening. Thank you, Niamey, so much for making time. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. I appreciate you too, girl. Have a good night. Be safe.
Okay. You too.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. Again, I'll do that right now. I have my podcast I have to edit, but free marketing, right? Word of mouth. We love. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, Digging In with Niamey is my podcast. Go to my Instagram, NNIIAMEY, to check out the links and the organizations I'm a part of. And then also donate to I Am Root Co. LLC. You can find us on Cash App. And then also, I will get those resources out to you so you guys know what they are. So thank you all again, and continue to do the work. Love you.